Howdy, 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 my name is Sasuke. Welcome back to Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. In this episode, I'm looking to, at the very least, read the Elder Baconator in this episode, because I'm at up to no good, but I cannot for the life of me fathom what could possibly happen in a story called Elder Baconator. So, let's get up to no good then, shall we? It says it's by Lurk D, so I guess it's a story about, Dietrich. Fox pressed play on the Blu-ray player, and the iconic Disney castle appeared, followed by the intro to Frozen, the sing-along edition. I used to have that. If I still have that, I don't know where it is, but I used to have that. I really like that movie. Can I sing loud this time? Lucille asked as she slid on her dad's Bose headphones. If you want to, sure. I just have to talk with Mr. Lurk and Mr. Bridge. You good? Fox fluffed a couch pillow for her, and she leaned back and nodded. Good, and, honey? You don't see Mr. Fuzzy, do you? Merle in the corner of the room shook his head no vigorously. Lucille looked at him for a good second and lied as fast as her 7-year-old brain would allow. Nope. Okay then. I'll be back in a bit. Fox looked at the empty corner of the room, sighed, then headed into the garage. Fox, you gotta believe me. She didn't... Dietrich was desperately trying to explain a reason he didn't even understand. Bridge leaned against tool bench, trying to find the words, or really how to follow protocol after this point. Dietrich, calm. Fox said reassuringly, Can I call you D? As Bridge explained, it's a harmless thing and we'll probably just leave when you leave, alright? Dietrich took a long breath and rubbed his sweaty face. Yeah, I'm sure that's what... In one swift half-second motion, Fox pulled out an 8-inch stiletto knife and, with almost surgical precision, pushed 6 inches of it past Dietrich's gag reflex. Fox's other hand squeezed tightly around his windpipe, clenching harder and harder. Bridge quickly stumbled over. Whoa! Fox, stop! What the hell? Fox pressed the knife further down the throat. Stop? He's compromised. He's just paperwork at this point. Just a lift and a twist to sever the base of his skull. It'll be real fast. More than what he deserves. Dietrich flailed helplessly as his eyes teared up and his skin turned a deeper shade of red. Bridge approached carefully. No? Listen. We still need him. You need him. I looked at the flash drive Clef gave us. There's bigger things in there. Things that are more than you and me can handle by ourselves. Bullshit. I don't care. I can handle things myself. Fox knife gently sliced the inside of Dietrich's cheek as he struggled to get a grip. Or to keep a grip. You could only continue to make horrible choking sounds while trying to breathe. Yeah, no, I know what I'm talking about. Let him go. I'll deal with him afterwards. I can fix this. I want your word, Bridge. I want your fucking word on a gold platter served with caviar that you will make this right, because I give no fucks about killing either of you. I'm not going to sing that. Ignoring Lucille's singing in the next room, Bridge looked into Fox's eyes that had seen men die badly. Eyes that had seen more evil than Bridge cared to even be aware of. I understand. Now drop him, please. Fox closed his eyes and paused for a moment, then very quickly unsheathed his dagger from Dee's throat. Thanks for listening. Bridge relaxed his shoulders as Fox walked by him. Bridge was a little too distracted to react when Fox swiped his taser from his hip. Without looking, Fox walked back into the house and tased D. God damn it! D dropped like a sandbag onto the hard concrete floor. All three of them sat awkward around the kitchen table. Fox gave a death stare at D, D rubbed his sore throat, and Bridge typed at his keyboard ready to start an impromptu briefing. Alright, Alex, go over what you found on the drive. Bridge swiveled the laptop so Lurk and Fox could see. So, very interesting intel on what has been gathered on General Bow, specifically those related to him and what they've been doing. However, the files are, well, scattered. For sure I can tell that at least some of this intel has been lifted off of the Site-19 servers. Bridge tightened his grip a little, and also off the Site-66 servers, which was Taser's thermite. At least someone's using them, right? He glanced at D, who was still rubbing his sore windpipe. Show them the other thing, Alex. Yes, a lot of this intel is really encrypted. I thought it was corrupted at first, but there's a lot more here that I can't access. D tilted his head. What do you mean you can't crack it? It's Foundation encrypted. Yes, but this data has Gershwin-Laramie cipher algorithms. That's anti-AI ciphers developed for human-only privileged information. D pursed his lips and leaned toward Alex's avatar on the screen. Okay? So how do we read the documents? You can't, muttered Bridge. You need a Gershwin-Laramie decryption device. That's all newer Foundation tech developed by the AIAD, and the only ones I know of that we could even pretend are easily accessible were in Site-19. So, Fox finally focused on Bridge. Can't you get access to the one on site? No, it's not that easy. Bridge shook his head and gave an uneasy chuckle with a two-toothy grin. You're thinking about the current Site-19. I'm thinking about the old Site-19. Old Site-19? Alice, pull up the layout of Site-19 with the classified layers. Sir, they don't have clearance to... They don't. I do. I'm giving them clearance. Show them. Alex shrugged and pulled up a diagram of the entirety of Site-19. Nothing new, honestly. There were containment wings, labs, offices, break rooms, a weapon armory, etc. Bridge pointed to what looked like a shaft extending down underground and then cutting off some 100 feet. Now, load up the rest. Suddenly, the screen zoomed out and panned down to reveal an entire installation under it. Just as complex and as vast as above, several access shafts seemed to stretch down from the surface, but they all seemed to be cut off. This is the old Site-19, the one that got nuked. D rubbed his temples trying to process this. So you mean to tell me they done built Site-19 on top of Site-19? Bridge nodded, twitching a little, cracking his neck. What I'm about to tell you is way the fuck above your clearance level. The current Site-19 installation is partially responsible for containing the dilapidated Site-19 installation. After the blast, many anomalies were lost, but some just up and broke, for lack of a better word. Broke? Fox got up for a cup of coffee and to check on his daughter in the living room around the corner. She was still preoccupied with her movie as far as he could tell, but if he could see, he'd see a looming figure sitting next to her, preoccupied with the movie as well. That's Elsa, Lucille explained to the invisible space next to her. She's not a bad guy, then she whispered, it's actually the prince. Fox pinched the bridge of his nose and suppressed the anger inside his gut. He knew he needed to get this lurk fucker away from his daughter before that thing decided to make a home here. Bridge continued to talk even though he wasn't sure Fox was listening. Let's just say old Site-19 was destroyed, and what was left became an unstable mess, so they buried it and built a lid on it. He and Dee waited patiently, and Fox eventually walked back over, coffee in hand. So what are you suggesting? I mean we need to access old Site-19. Road trip? What? No fucking way, Bridge! How the fuck do we get down there? There's an old ventilation conduit on the south end of the base. Utilities should still be... Fox reached over and shut the laptop. Hey, what the hell? That's a suicide mission, Bridge. It's probably not. Look, there hasn't been any real activity under Site-19 in years, and most of the old underground is flooded. We'll be in and out. Just need to make it to the computer labs. Literally, the biggest dangers are cave-in or rats. So we get in, find this device, then head out. Listen, I'm not Ellen Ripley. In, out. Nothing fancy. We need at least one other to drive us in and post as lookout while we're down there. Fox crossed his arm and continued his death stare at Dee. He shrunk in his chair, feeling the burning hate from across the kitchen table. I know a guy. He's kinda off the books and knows his way around Site-19. Plus he owes me a favor. Let's leave the night. Fox hugged Lucille at the front door. Where's Mr. Fuzzy going, Daddy? Away. Forever. He has to move. Fox buttoned up her collar that came loose. Oh. Lucille looked at her red shoes sadly. Fox tried to find the words to comfort her, but nothing came to mind specifically. Instead, he gave her another hug and a peckish kiss on the head. Kiss. He wasn't particularly worried about having Lucille spend the night with the babysitter, but more so he would be out of reach and unable to get to her if something should happen. He wouldn't let that happen. Dee huffed a duffel bag and laptop case off the ground and walked to the curb. Who's this friend of yours, Bridge? Bridge was already standing at the curb of the quiet suburban street as he smiled softly. Just a handy guy to have around. Just a guy. A short while later, a white van roared down the street and parked a house away, then backed up and parked again at the right house. Hey! Bridge spread his arms awkwardly in greeting. Strelnikov! Ah, Bridge! How was the things, comrade? I wasn't prepared to do a Russian accent today, I apologize. Dee looked over Bridge's shoulders as Fox loaded up the bag, some equipment and some other equipment. The loud Slavic-sounding lyrics blasting from the tape deck. And a curious earthy vegetable smell. Strel slouched into the driver's seat in his leather jacket. Okay, so... there's something off about this whole paragraph, the way it's written. His messy hair and one bloodshot eyes scanned Fox and Dee. Merle looked at Stell back from over Dee's shoulder. Bridge made introductions as Strel moved out of the driver's seat and opened the large panel door. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Agent Dmitri Arkadevich Strelnikov. As per tradition, I've butchered your name because I can't pretend to have an accent. Sorry about that. I can't do the accent either, so I'm just going to nod. Arkadevich. Yeah, right, that's the one. Continued Bridge, and that's Agent Dietrich Lurk and Agent Alexander Fox. Both nodded silently. Joe also bobbed his head with the pleasantries. This task force thing you bring, Bridge. I received message that you need driver for special task force, but can't tell me why over phone. Explain, I had very busy weekend planned. I'll just fill you in on the way. You still know how to get to Site 19 from here, right? Bridge started loading bags to the van. 19, that gulag? Yes. I guess if you bring guns and computer, it means we are breaking in like the burglar cat. It has been a long time since I have ran stealth op. If I had been told, I could have brought better vehicle. Have hind attack helicopter and storage doing yet, Bridge. 30mm autocannon, heat rocket launchers, black painted, death of many seconds. You've killed sections with it? I don't know what that means. Yet, that is name. Death of many sections. I don't even know how the hell to say this. How do I say this, Google? That answered nothing! Okay, moving on. Bridge simply nodded and let Strel continue venting. Have to beg to keep in budget. Director make me write justification each year to keep Hind in hangar. Have to make quota on combat missions or else Director replace Hind. I need to know these things, Bridge. I'm sorry, Strel. Next time, I promise. Strel kicked the panel van lightly in frustration over the lost opportunity. He mumbled to himself as the last bag was hoisted in. Hind better than shitty Japanese van with no cruise control. He eventually piped up. Are you drunk? Strel casually smiled, showing off his stainless steel replacement teeth. I'm Russian. And there's your answer. Bridge turned to Dean chuckled. Also, shotgun. Trust me. Epilogue. Oh, okay. Rewind that shit again? Clef giggled as Adams took the video back about 15 seconds. Wow! I had no idea Lurk could deep throat like that. Colored me impressed. Clef chewed his snack food loudly as he leaned in his seat in front of the video screen. I'd say there's some natural talent for sure. Usually Fox's house is so boring. Adams tilted her head a little. I guess. So you knew about this Mallow thing already? Kinda. Clef reached for another handful of mini pretzels. I mean, it's not like it's a big deal or anything. Adams turned to face him. This is probably what Bridge was warning me about. Clef shrugged and swallowed. That guy's way uptight. He doesn't understand how this plays for us in the larger scheme. Sir? Leverage, Adams. Ah, gotcha. Clef slouched further in his seat. Okay, rewind it for me one last time. So, let's see. I don't see Lurk again, so do we not get to find out how that mission went, or are they all dead now? Or has someone just not written that yet? I guess Lurk D has not yet written that. Anyway, let's check out the Elder Baconator, which isn't very long. The word processor's cursor blinked accusingly at Tilda, goading her into finishing the report. It was always the same dull story with dictatorship. It's lonely at the top, and it's lonely because you're sitting on a mountain of paperwork. Things took on a lot more gravity when the lives of everyone on site and many other nameless, faceless people elsewhere are affected by the stroke of a pen. Her pen. And yet it was still dull. Monotone, monochrome, easy to forget what it meant, what you were doing, vital that you always remembered. There were times when you didn't want to talk to anyone about it. No, you didn't want to. No, not didn't want to. Couldn't. Isolation eventually wore down anyone, even if you were well practiced with having few friends. Yet, no matter what she wanted, there were things that only others who had previously occupied the Site 19 directorial office could understand, or even be told. As it happened, one of those people chose that moment to knock on her door. She smelled the cigarette smoke first, then looked up to see a graying man in his mid-50s in her doorway. Dmitri, good afternoon. Dmitri Strelnikov looked at his watch. It is 6 o'clock, Director. She could hear the K. Tilda double-checked the time on her computer monitor. Damn. Also, cigarette, Dmitri. He nodded apologetically and unceremoniously flicked the cigarette into the hallway. Not the first time he'd done that. Sorry, smoking in this room is an old habit. Hey, you should try it. Might be good for you. Not the first time he'd said that. Dmitri settled into an armchair and looked around her office, both of which used to belong to him. You should redecorate, too. The Brezhnev era does not suit you like it does me, Director. She gave a tired smile. What can I do for you, Dimitri? She hesitated for a moment. And please, just Tilda. When he'd been on this side of the desk, he insisted the same thing. Call me Dimitri. We had a shorter session today, and I thought I would come see how you were doing. I say to myself, maybe she needs a cigarette, and I'm the only one with a spare. He smiled broadly. Tilda had never smoked. Shorter session. She wondered what they were having Dimitri do. He had recently been pulled out of retirement, perhaps more aptly described as self-imposed exile, and made a training officer of Alpha 9. Perhaps the training officer. She could ask, but that will require more paperwork. If the wrong people were tapping her office right now. Tilda was technically cleared for all that, but the papers took a while to make their way to her desk, and even longer to climb the pile. She needed to delegate more of this, but delegation was its own paper mountain. He was expecting a response about the cigarette. It's very kind of you to offer. There's still time for me to pick up the habit. She motioned to her computer and the reams of paper on the desk. You know how it goes, though. Dimitri ground his teeth, stainless steel glinting occasionally as he did so. A former Russian airborne infantryman, he'd lost a few teeth during bad jumps, and some hack Soviet dentist had replaced the missing ones with stainless steel facsimiles. I tell you what, leave that go, he waved dismissively at her desk. I will take you to dinner. I know a nice place. Good, quiet, good food, no questions asked. They also serve Coca-Cola. Might have sounded like a joke to someone else, but it appealed to Tilda. The cursor seemed to blink more aggressively. Don't you dare, it almost vocalized. Work is more important than food. Her work saved lives. Her work ended lives. Dimitri was waiting. Tilda looked at him again and nodded consent. The moment they left her office, he lit another cigarette. She couldn't decide between a Wendy's number 7 or a number 8. It had been so long since she'd eaten out, even at a fast food restaurant, that she really couldn't decide. Something light, maybe? Nothing worse than working hard on a stomach that feels like it's full of bricks. Okay, I guess I read that out of order. My bad. Dimitri approached the cashier. She looked very young, and with an uncertain look about her. Tilda wondered if she was in college. For some reason, the thought aroused a sympathy that bordered on pity. Welcome to Wendy's, the cashier said. Would you like to try the son of Baconator? No, I do not want the Pretender. I want the Baconator Elder, with quadruple bacon. He held up 4 fingers for emphasis. Sir, I don't know if we can... Dimitri cut her off. Is this not America? Am I still in the Soviet Union? Why did I leave? Dimitri gave her a hard look. Why did I leave if I must settle for the pretend Baconator? Sir, it is America, but... Do you want a bribe? Do I have to bribe for this? The cashier tried to protest, but Dimitri held a finger to her lips. Shh, no. Here, look at this. He lifted a crisp $50 bill on the counter and slid it towards her. For you. Quadruple bacon. I want the true Baconator father. Maybe even the Baconator grandfather. Wide-eyed and confused, the cashier took the bill and punched in the order. Satisfied, Dimitri stepped back. The cashier looked up at Tilda's wife, wondering what was coming next. I'll have what he's having. It was unhealthy. It was delicious. Neither of them spoke for a great while, the taste of the cheap food and the knowledge of how bad it was for them, bringing its own peculiar form of catharsis. I kind of want this now. If my local Wendy's is open, my local Wendy's is has been under construction for a couple of months. If it's alive, I'm gonna look into this. Let's see. As Tilda wiped her hands clean of grease, she had no recourse but to admit that she did indeed feel a lot better. So how's training progressing, Dimitri? We might as well conduct a little business while we're out, she asked. He moved to light a cigarette, but a sorry look from the cashier stopped him. We're moving along. I've been trying to drill them on quick threat detection and reaction. How does that work? They must learn that conditions can, shit the bed in an instant. Sometimes you have mere seconds to react to a changing situation, and it will determine if you live or die. Tilda nodded. I will give you an example. He pointed with the unlit end of his cigarette towards a man who had just entered. He wore an oversized sweater that looked a bit too warm for the current climate, and his body language indicated that he was possibly nervous or agitated. That man there, we will call him Sweater Man. Dimitri's and Sweater Man's eyes met for the briefest moment. What would you do, for example, if Sweater Man decided suddenly to shoot up this place? What? I would call it in if I could, and wait. Besides that, I would probably do nothing. Nothing? Dimitri looked displeased. Yes. She watched Sweater Man staring at the counter, shifting in his oversized sweater. She remembered the mountains of paperwork, saving lives, ending lives, whether you signed this piece of paper or whether you didn't sign that one. Inaction, action, no matter what you did, so much was all the same. Dimitri leaned forward, clearly forming an argument, but whatever he was going to say was lost when the Sweater Man lifted his garment, pulled out a handgun, and fired a round into the ceiling. Chairs squealed as frightened children and parents alike dove for cover under the wooden IKEA tables. A baby started crying. Someone spilled a drink on Dimitri's back. Tilda glared at Dimitri with a tone carrying less alarm and more, "What the hell have you done?" "Alright, nobody move, then this is over real quick." Sweaterman swept his weapon over the cashier and instructed her to begin filling a carry-out bag with bills from all the registers. Dimitri relaxed his hands, allowing his right arm to drop nonchalantly to his side, and waited. When Sweater's head was turned to the cashier, he nodded at Tilda and rose. With smooth, practiced motion, Dimitri's gun hand lifted the hem of his shirt and drew his trusted sidearm. The weapon rose swiftly, meeting the target. Dimitri slipped on a spilled milkshake. In stark contrast to how graceful he had risen, he collapsed to the floor. His sidearm landed on the table in front of Tilda. There were only seconds to react, but her brain still jumped through the usual hoops. This was not a choice she had wanted to make. Ideally, she didn't want to make any choice in this kind of situation, but the die was already cast. She felt her hand wrap around the bank-like grip as she too rose from her seat and drew down on the sweater man. The sights aligned, and beyond the front blade sight she could see the target's eyes go wide. She felt a flash. She felt more than heard the report of the gun. Her eyes flinched. She felt her hand absorb the recoil as the slide cycled backwards and chambered a new round. She watched the lacquered steel casing fly past her peripheral vision. Glass shattered and children screamed, all of it silenced by piercing, ringing tinnitus. When her eyes focused, Sweaterman was gone. The spent casing hit the floor, and with that, her hearing returned. Dimitri stayed on the floor and lit a cigarette. "You see what I mean, yes?" She exhaled. "You should have Everett look at that bruise," Tilda said as they alternately walked and limped through the hall. The adrenaline crash was hitting her hard, and she wanted nothing more than to sink into her office chair and do paperwork again. Maybe that was the real lesson to be taken from this, an appreciation of stability and relative safety. "No, because he will try to replace my lungs again. I told him never again, not after last time," Dimitri said with an emphatic chop of his hand. Finally, they reached her office. She invited him in for a drink out of courtesy, but he politely declined, reminding her she still had work to do. A question loomed on her mind as she teetered indecisively as to whether she should ask or not. She decided she had to know. "Dimitri, did you orchestrate all that?" "I only wish I could have planned that. So perfect, it was complete coincidence." "Coincidence? Yes, that is what I said." He clapped her on the shoulder, beaming. "I want you to know you did well, even though you missed. I'm sure the police found him." Despite her exhaustion, she managed to crack a grim smile. "Thank you. No more practical lessons, if you please. I will try to honor this request, Director." She sunk into her chair. The cursor greeted her. It had kindly remained where she left it. Okay, so I am glad that I read The Elder Baconator, because that was completely ridiculous and hilarious, and it made me want Wendy's. So maybe I'm not quite as glad as I could have been, because now I want Wendy's. And this is very, very long, so we're not gonna do that this episode. This is good enough. So this has been Anashi Sasuke. This is episode, I believe, 77 of Let's Read the SCP Foundation Wiki. If you liked it, a like and a subscribe will be groovy. If you didn't, you don't need to do either one of those things. So have a great weekend and maybe try to snag a Ella Baconator if you can. Later.